My name is Michael A. Hoffman. I was the co-producer, editor, film restorationist, film colorist, the gremlin wrangler, and also I unclogged the toilets at the production offices. And I did all this on Samurai Priest, Vampire Hunter, which stars the great Tim Thomerson and legendary Ken Foree. Samurai Priest Vampire Hunter is an interesting film because usually when you work on a project, they succinctly, you have a starting point and you move forward. This is the only film I've ever done that we worked backward. Samurai Priest Vampire Hunter came to be originally as a restoration of a film called Live Evil. Live Evil was made close to 20 years ago. It started production. Was shot on Super 16mm, some standard 16mm and 35, some short ends. And what happened was they did a very old-fashioned type of telecine where instead of going to high definition or HD cam or digital files, went right on to digibeta and standard def. And to make matters worse, they actually pillar boxed it as opposed to being 16:9 widescreen. Shortly after the film was completed and released, I believe it had to cycle through Warner Brothers for the video on demand. The HD conversion happened for home TVs and everything became high def, and then TVs were no longer square. So to get the widescreen image, you had to zoom in. The film really wasn't going to go any further. It was kind of dead in the water for a long time because of the overall quality of what was there picture-wise. The original production took the digibeta tapes and dubbed them and then went back to mini DV. And that's what they used, I believe, to cut the original Live Evil. So I just dumped all the tapes. I had every single tape and just started picking and pulling and called the producer, said, you know, it's weird. I'm just comparing what I just watched on the DVD of Live Evil, looking at all of the dailies that you have, and I think a lot of your unused footage, alternate takes, and scenes that didn't make the movie, I think they're better. Plus nowadays we could do some really good CGI, some good effect shots. And the producer, Mark, was like, listen, I agree with you. He was always proud, I think, of the stunt work. He was basically a stunt guy. That's his background. He loves action movies. Old school, like 80s feeling horror film, you know, near dark type thing with canon, you know, action scenes. And I think he felt the original cut and the flow of the movie was more like one of those indie drawl, more gothier, moody vampire movies that he just was never even a fan of. It's just, they got the financing, I think, to start with because vampire movies were hot. We said, but how can we do this? Especially Mark, we started throwing ideas out there. I started cutting scenes, then we looked at where the holes were, and we put together pickup lists. So we started seeing if maybe we could do something with alternate takes, all the scenes that were cut, like the Jeff Burr scene at the meat market that's in there. When the vampires go to the Gold Street house wasn't in the original version. Mark did the unthinkable. He contacted the majority of the original cast. Osa Wallander came in, Mark Hangst came in. You know, all these character actors and casts that were great came back and were willing to do hours and in some cases days of ADR to change the script.
Where to now?
It's Friday. Do you think Max still has those vampire parties?
Only one way to find out.
Where to now?
That's almost sundown. How about I introduce you guys to my old friends? I'm not sure, but I think there's another clique out there. And if they're here, that means there's blood fit enough for them to live on.
So let's go find the buggers then.
Soon. Where's Yayo? I'm not sure, but it's time we got out of here. Where's Yayo?
We took like what was essentially a movie that took place over days in the beginning, sped up the pace and felt like it was one day now, turned it into a road movie.
Next town, we need to fill up.
On gas or food?
Both.
I had to be subtle of where I put all the new lines so you didn't notice this was ADR, this was set audio, and Joey Butera did a great job of mixing that all together, by the way. Fantastic.
Hello, my name is Joseph Butera. I am the surround sound mix engineer for Samurai Priest Vampire Hunter, and I also did a little bit of sound design on this project. So this is a very interesting project where we were taking the older movie, Live Evil, and reconstructing it and remastering it to bring it into the modern age and become Samurai Priest Vampire Hunter. Now that required bringing a lot of things out of the archives. So not only did that mean redoing all of the film parts, from 16 millimeter into digital formats of today, it also meant bringing some of the old sound back from DAT tapes and files that have been in the archives for a really long time and recreating that in a new way so that we could bring Samurai Priest Vampire Hunter to life. So there were a lot of new elements that were added as part of Samurai Priest Vampire Hunter, and those had to be combined very carefully with the elements that were taken from Live Evil. So it was a very continuous flow of sound, because sometimes those elements were inserted inside of scenes. This required ADR, which is called automatic dialogue replacement, where the actor comes back in after many, many years, re-perform their parts in a new way so that we could create that new storyline. And that was a very careful process to blend the old and the new and elevate everything while still combining old and new parts to create a new film that was much more exciting and engaging.
So Mark Terry, one of the best things I feel he did was he needed a new score for this. The original version of the movie had multiple composers. A lot of people tried to get that blue car chase right, the red car chase. I don't think he ever was satisfied with what was in there. It was either too bombastic or too pirate movie-ish or too Broadway-ish. He wanted something cool, and I like what's in there now. It's kind of like The Man with No Name meets like something from like Tron Legacy, like Daft Punk. And I love the reoccurring theme for the priest. Whenever he comes out to the I couldn't have asked for a better underlying theme melody for any film that's memorable to me. I think it's classic. So he got Edward Bernyson to come in, and the rest is history. I mean, what he turned in was just awesome.
No! It's what he wants! It's what he wants! Now!
When did you straighten me out?
Sorry, sweetie. I don't fuck trash.
It really elevated the film. And then you get this cool comic book art that elevates the film. And then we spent 20-something days shooting either new scenes or inserts throughout the entire movie. All kinds of stuff. The head coming off at the tree and on fire during the nighttime fight scene, that's new. We shot those inserts for that sequence.
We've been in wars before. And survived this one.
What was in the car trunk with the blood bar, with the cops on the side of the road, all the shots of the trunk, they're new. Scenes old, shots are new. In the hotel room, the shot of the TV, vintage TV, that's new. And Mark had to wallpaper his apartment and rent a vintage television from Sony, and then I had him make the no smoking sign or do not remove this TV with a ridiculous fine. He shot the reporter stuff, obviously, to go on the TV. He turned his room into a nursery. His same room that was the hotel room became a nursery. He shot all the stuff with the baby vampire, all the baby vampire inserts in the nursery, all brand new.
At least the babies are still alive.
Do that!
At least the babies are still alive.
This group here has it out for families and kids.
He shot the green screen shots with the sword with the baby vampire head to replace the one that was in the original Live Evil, because no one was satisfied with that effect in the original version whatsoever.
Goddamn vampire babies. They're the worst. Goddamn vampire babies. They're the worst.
The producer, Mark Terry, bought acres of land in east of Los Angeles just to shoot the pickups for Samurai Priest. He wanted to have the same scrub brush in the back for those drone shots that we got, that whole montage of the bunker scene that we have in there where the Samurai Priest goes down in there, and you see like all the things that are going to come up in the movie, the traps, the weapons, and he grabs, we actually had a sponsorship, which was awesome, from Liquid Death on this. And not only did I have to be very careful about coloring all of this, so it didn't stand out. And then some of the cool stuff we did was, like, there's a scene where one of the police officers is run over backward, and while it's obviously a dummy, and when I cut this film, I went with the fact that some of the gore is outlandishly over the top, we could be a little cheesy. It was really obviously a dummy in the original cut. It just was the timing, and it was slow. Aside from putting a little camera jerk in there and tightening it up and playing a couple frames backward, we took the actor's head and superimposed it this time over the dummy. To where you go, ooh, or laugh at it because it's so ridiculous. It keeps you in the movie. And that was my goal cutting this, is there's a lot of fun gore, it's some gore that's cheesy. It's gonna have some latex and rubber appendages. I mean, it's about a guy cutting hearts out and heads in half. But as long as it's cut to a manner where it keeps you laughing and entertained and doesn't pull you out of the movie, because the splatter I grew up with, you know, just like Peter Jackson's stuff, like Dead Alive, none of it's realistic to me. It's just gross, you know, and over the top, and that's what makes it fun. And this film took half a decade to complete. So many things got in the way. First of all, there was a frame rate issue where the tapes were 30 frames, and when I sent my original time code selections to do selects from the film canisters, once I'd edited the first cuts, nothing matched up, because the film was telecinied to 30p versus the native 24p. I found out that I edited the whole movie. And to save money, I ended up learning how to use a film scanner, so to get true time code.
Yep.
DIY film scanning. You guys can start a business, man. And we're, getting a tour, Mark, so I don't never forget this event. Film the whole building. Laptop. We kind of took over in here.
See right here. Look at this mirror. There's a makeup girl in a light. Do that in a mirror?
We leave that in or no?
Hi kids. This right here is motion picture film. Doesn't exist anymore. Unless you're in northern Mississippi. We're here either late morning, late night. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying anymore. But we're making a film and we're doing the best we can. So we're coming in here, we're gonna see what we're doing today.
Oh, hey, what's up? Is this live or not?
We are not live. What are you doing here?
Yeah, we are basically up all night here. We've been going like crazy on a 2-hour nap only. We are rescanning a film that was shot on Super 16 millimeter. I got very short-term notice. I got the call that I was flying in maybe 36 hours ago. So I basically had to have a conference call with the guy that sells this machine, learn how to use it, and now the producer, Mark, and I are running it ourselves with our notes, and Yeah, we're scanning everything in 2.5K. I didn't have time for a haircut before I came out. It's been fun, it's been exciting.
I noticed a lot of people are complaining about hair in the gate. How'd that happen?
It's very windy. The duct here is open, and it's got like a giant blower. It's a server room. It's sitting right under this.
Yeah.
And it's inevitable, you know. I probably should have brought my hairnet, but like I said, I had 36 hours notice to get out here. So, I'm off. I think 7 hours sleep over the last 3 days.
But you're here. You're safe.
I am, and I've had a lot of fun so far. I've seen Yazoo, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And this room. I think I've seen our hotel room for about 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. But it's been a blast. Yeah, we should be done by tomorrow evening.
Maybe.
I spent a year and a half just dust busting it. I removed over 11, almost 12,000, I think last I counted, pieces of hair and scratches. I had to sometimes degrain and regrain only specific elements that were super damaged because I never wanted to touch the texture or have waxy movie or people's faces. But some of those canisters were so far under or faded, it was just a mess. And I'd have to overlay real grain structure. We scanned in some blank frames at the top before the hole punches, and I'd kind of overlay those when we were done. It just became this giant job, unlike anything else I've ever done. Then my son was born, my first child, Barrett, was born during all of this. My mother passed away. I think I lost some hair. I got into my 40s on this project. It was like a lifetime job. I read a lot of B movies. I grew up on them. It's like the last film from those crews that made them the old school way, which is why this movie is so personal and endearing to me. And I was happy to get the call to do not only restoration, but give it a rebirth and a new life. Because we don't really consider this just an alternate title. We just feel like it's a fresh film, just using older elements.
Tim Thomerson is samurai priest, vampire hunter.
It'll rip. We'll just have to improvise.
This hunt's personal.